The ray beams across all of you.
How much damage?
Legendary action. He casts Disintegration Ray again. You are all turned to dust. Yes.
Feel good about that? Really? This is my only free Saturday.
Welcome back to Bard and Barrel, where we have a question today that I don't think I know the answer to, and I don't know, you'll have to tell me, Riley, but here it is. When is it okay to do a total party kill or a TPK on everybody?
I'm not a malicious DM. Why would I know this? I don't know. That's a tough question
Yeah.
because similarly to our single player episode, I it's hard. I feel like it's got to be a really epic ending to, maybe it's the final battle of the entire campaign and the players just couldn't quite hack it and the bad guy ends up winning the day. Um, it's kind of a tragic end to a beloved storyline, kind of anticlimactic, unfortunately, for the players. But without it being some sort of cynical act on the DM's part, that's a tough one.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen this done. When you were talking about that, I've seen it done kind of cinematically, where I'm trying to think of what it would be. It's that movie. Oh shoot, where it's got Will Ferrell and I think Mark Wahlberg, and they're cops. The other guys, I think that's what it's called,
The
where
other
they've got
guys.
these two super good cops, right? And they are top, they are the best of the best, doing all this stuff, and then they die like within the first like 5 minutes of the film, and then they get replaced by these like two amateur dudes who have to like figure it out, right? And so like part like deep down for me, I would love to have like a little campaign where everybody gets in their whole deal, and maybe you make everybody get level 16 characters or something like that, and they're out there and they're fighting this huge boss or whatever it may be, and then they all just get wiped out, right? Blah. And then the actual campaign starts by a
Ah,
new calling for these new players, who have to now re-roll all their stats and stuff like that. But now they have to go fill the shoes of their previous players. So like maybe you can give like maybe you do like 3 or 4 sessions as their like actual players, and then you completely flip the campaign on people's heads, and they didn't realize. Oh, so that wasn't the actual campaign. That was like a
it's like
legend
the
that they were creating,
backstory.
and the kind of
Ah.
cool. I think would be fun to implement in a story. Um, but I'm with you. I'm not a malicious DM. I'm not out there to just kill the players every time I come to the table. I know there are some DMs out there who enjoy doing that, and maybe players who enjoy fighting back. I don't see the logic on that a lot. That's why we don't play that way. But yeah, I don't
No,
know.
but
What else comes to mind?
to your point, I like that. Thematically, it's almost like you're playing out the backstory of the history of the campaign. You're playing the heroes, and the rubble from their war, their campaign is what the actual players are actually trying to fix now. And playing through that rather than just telling it is kind of a cool story.
Yeah,
But on the flip side, even if your 2 year long campaign ends with a horrible ending of the players, the next campaign, the campaign after the campaign is maybe their children or something like that that are there to redeem the legacy of these heroes that did such great deeds but couldn't quite finish the job. And so there's a lot of cool ways that you can turn this what feels like a bad situation into something probably more enjoyable. But and to your point, not that killing off players is a malicious act. Okay, there's probably ways to do it here that we're gonna try and hopefully unveil that are thematic. There are reasons and reasons why we would do it or it would happen to a party. But yeah, it's not the DM that's like, oh, I'm gonna try and kill my players today. That is my goal of this session. It's like that's that's not, maybe that was one, like the original D&D's style. It was all about how fast could you kill the players. But nowadays I feel like it's more of a thematic, theatrical game, that's about the story, rather than just a straight dungeon crawl. There's probably a lot of people that play that way. And if you're playing a gauntlet, straight gauntlet, and death is on the horizon, then that's something that the players probably should know, obviously, going into the campaign, knowing that death is very, very possible, if not certain. Like, I know there's what's the module? Tomb of Annihilation. From what I understand, I've never played it, is one of those where death for the entire party is imminent. It's pretty much
Yeah.
guaranteed. It's a very difficult dungeon to go through without just losing everyone
Yeah.
because of the way that it's made. And so there's
Right.
probably ways like that if it is, a difficult campaign, something as long as the players are okay with that moving into it. If it's something that's sprung on them last second and nobody knew it was going to happen, yeah, I don't know.
No, no, that's a good
What
point. I mean, I agree with you. Like, if you're gonna run a campaign like that, make sure that you're upfront with your players and you let them know. Or it's even better. And we talk about this is obviously a little off topic, but just letting your players know how you do things and getting to know how they do things and making sure that there's happiness at the table and harmony, right? But as far as the TPKs go, I don't know. I was kind of sitting here thinking that obviously, like maybe the players, obviously, okay, so we talked about one, and maybe it's like thematic, right? Where it's the start of a story or end of a story or whatever it is, it plays into the campaign. Um, Maybe another one would be, I don't know, maybe they make a terrible mistake, like they mock a dragon or something as they're sitting in its lair, or you know, let's see, or start openly assassinate someone in the middle of town, and all of the guards come cracking down on them, and and are not like Skyrim guards who are like, pay me your bounty and I will set you free, or come to jail. It's like, no, there's some evil afoot, and they're gonna put it to an end, right? So I could see something like that where it's a mistake, like a grave mistake that your players have made. Obviously, like if someone trips and pushes someone into a well, and you don't want to have all the guards just come and throw out all the players down into the well as
Mhm.
well, and then pour lava on them or something and be like, peace out, goodbye. That's what you get. But I don't know.
So
So
yeah,
that's one thing.
let's talk about that for a second. So in my experience, if that scenario were to come up as a DM, I feel like my response would be that the players are going to get the crap beat out of them to the point where they get knocked out and are probably going to be captured. When is it rather okay? Like when does that turn to where death for the entire party is required versus apprehension?
Hmm.
That I guess
That's a
that's
good.
my
That's a
question
good.
is
That's
where's
a good
where's
line
that
to draw,
line?
right? Yeah,
Where's
I
that
would
line?
say it depends on the intent, right? I would. That's what I would think. I think that if your players intended to do something horrible, uh, and probably like in spite of you, maybe, I don't know. That's a tough one. Or it's like, or it's so drastically stupid that it's not a mistake. It's on purpose. Like they're purposely trying to cause some sort of reaction, or they're pushing you, or they're pushing your limits as a DM and saying, like, is he really going to punish us? Are we just is this a DM where we can just kind of like, be the main characters and always have a safety net underneath us, right?
Right.
Does that make
So we're
sense?
almost
That's what comes
yeah,
like in my head.
we're talking about player player threat assessment rather than character threat assessment where it's the players almost acting against the DM. Maybe the DM has been too soft. I've coddled the players too much, and they think that they're NPCs. They're godlike. They can never die because they know I will pull the punches when it comes time to them possibly dying. Um, and I need to correct that. I feel like maybe that's a little drastic, and there should be some conversation outside of the game before that happens. But if they keep pushing that line, then yeah, maybe the TPK where they put themselves in the situation to die, not that you throw an impossible scenario in front of them just to kill them.
Yeah, and let me be clear on this too, right? Like, I'm not
Yeah,
saying if the players do something that pisses you off as a DM, that's
right,
not your right to kill them. But
right,
this is something like, like I keep bringing up this example, but it's the most obvious one to me is just like there's a giant dragon who you and your team or your party is probably not capable of fighting, and you go provoke it to a fight. Kind of
right.
murder
Okay.
hobo-y. Um,
That's their only tool in the toolbox. They never
Now, if
try to
like
talk their way
someone
out.
rolls bad and it fires up this dragon, like I don't know that I'd see that as like an opportunity for you to just smoke the whole team and be like, well, sorry, you shouldn't have rolled a nat one, you know, like, ouch, that hurts because that's not within their control, kind of a thing. But for me, it's like, okay, you've made a grave mistake purposely, even though like everything, and you can toss up the little like warning barriers, like there's warning signs, hey, dead end, road's ending, cliff soon, you know, and they keep pushing past that point. To me, that's when it's game time.
That's a good point.
I don't
Where
know. I'm trying
they've
to think of
egged it
another
on to the
example.
point. Well, I think as well another one could be that if if the dice truly are against them, and
Mm.
this is a very threatening scenario, I don't have a specific situation on the top of my
No,
head,
that's
but
okay though, because exactly what you're talking about is that they still have the option. Come on, guys, everybody's played Pokemon. I hope at some point you still have the option to run, right?
right,
Yeah.
yeah, hmm
And so,
and
like, if
that's
your
something
players are getting hosed and they're not running,
I've played D&D for quite a while, and I've been in quite a few different groups with different DM styles, and I honestly don't think I've ever been in a party where we've run from a fight. We've always pushed, like, we've lost two to three. There was a campaign, we had 7 players. We lost 3 players during this fight, and we still kept pushing through.
oh
We
my
just
gosh.
wouldn't run away. And
Yeah.
that is something that I'm not sure how everyone else is, but I think that's something that we as players, we struggle to accept defeat because there should be a possibility where we can always win, or so we feel. We're players, we're the gods, we're supposed to be the winners of the game. That's what, DM has built this campaign around you, right? So that is something that I feel I, as a player, and I probably should stop fully expecting this from my players as a DM, that, you know, running away is an option. It is okay to run away. And sometimes it's necessary as a DM to put such a difficult encounter in front of the players so that they're like, wow, either we stay and die or we run. And if they choose the first option, you gave them, it's like, okay, the warning signs were there. Here comes the cliff. Are you going to keep driving or are you going to stop? We're going to hit the gas harder. It's like, okay, well, here comes the second dragon with the fire breath and everyone's dead.
Right.
Like, so as long as the players and the DM kind of have a mutual arrangement in that aspect where everyone's kind of decided that this is the end,
Yeah.
is
No, and I
another
think
option
I
as
think
well.
that's the important key to that too is that it has to be the player's choice. Like you've given them the warning signs and they keep going. That's their choice. Obviously, like it's your choice to end all say all, but still it's not you making that choice for them. It's they've pushed themselves past that point.